Watching the video, there's a lot of positives coming out of the game. Probably what I'm most pleased with is the progress that we made on some of the focus areas that we had during the open week. Felt like our guys really took advantage of that extra week that we had, and saw good progress in practice. And you know, just little things like third down. I think we're much improved, especially in third and long. I think we're 5 of 8. That was an area that we really spent some time trying to clean some things up, and then also talking about getting off to a fast start. You know, scoring on the first drive, just cleaning up the execution, really kind of setting the tempo for the day. Did a good job of that. Really pleased with no turnovers. Trevor's doing a good job protecting the ball at quarterback, and then everybody that touched it, you know, 2 years ago. We have a pretty veteran offense and turned the ball over 4 times with all those veteran guys, and that's why the game was the way it was 2 years ago. So that was really a big point of emphasis. I felt like NC State did a good job of really trying to tackle the ball and separate the ball from the ball carrier. So I was really pleased with that. Obviously, it was good to get the passing game going. 380 yards through the air, 10 explosive plays. I think we had 8 explosive passes. And like we talked about after the game, really have seen that in practice. Our execution of the passing game has been really good. It was great to get the opportunity in the game and guys get out there and make the plays. And you know, the biggest positive, I feel like we're improving. We got some good momentum, but offensively, you know, I see really good progress the last few weeks. And you know, the best teams that I've been around really continue to get better and better as the year goes on this time of year, and so that's what I expect as we move forward. Florida State, definitely going to be a big challenge. You know, can't get caught up with their record. I know that they won 3 of their last 4, but in my opinion, just watching a day and a half of video, I believe this will be the best defense that we've faced up until this point. Very athletic, really at every position. I believe they're number 8 in the country in rush defense, number 1 in the ACC, only giving up 5 rushing touchdowns, and number 3 in the country, number 1 in the ACC in sacks. Number 9, Brian Burns, I think 2nd in the country with 9 sacks. The leader has 9.5. Very athletic, very fast, probably the most explosive defensive end, in my opinion, that we will have faced since Jadeveon Clowney at South Carolina. I mean, he's a problem. That shows up real fast. You really have to know where he is on every snap and spend some time getting a plan for that. So that's what you expect when you play Florida State. I mean, I think they've been higher than us in recruiting rankings about 8 of the last 9 years. So they got a lot of great players, a very talented group, and I really can tell the last couple of weeks that they have made a lot of improvement. And it'll be a big challenge, but that's what you expect this time of year as we continue on our journey. So with that, I'll open up with questions.
Coach, is this always a nostalgic game for you going back there to Tallahassee?
Yeah, I mean, I got obviously a lot of great memories, but now it's hard to believe. You know, we've been at Clemson with my dad, counting my dad's years, you know, close to 20 years here now. You know, the first couple of times that I went back to Tallahassee, it was definitely a different feeling being on the other sideline. But now, I mean, I've been on this side of that rivalry for so long. But it's, you know, when you think about the history of the ACC, you know, at least in the years that I've been around and kind of watching it, you know, it's really been Clemson and Florida State, and you know, this game every year was always a pivotal game to that. And there's a lot of great players that are going to be on that field, talented guys on both sides of the ball. You know, but yeah, it's always fun to go back to Tallahassee and still have friends that I went to school with way back in the day that are, you know, big Florida State fans, and usually come down before the game or after the game and, you know, holler out to me and get to say hello to them.
What's your fondest memory from those days?
Fondest memory from those days at Florida State? You know, I've told this story many times, but my fondest memory I have is 1991, I believe it was 91. Florida State was getting ready to play Miami, and I was sitting in it's either 89 or 91, but I think it's 91, sitting in Charlie Ward's locker before the game. And it was one of these #1 versus #2, something like that. And sitting in Charlie Ward's locker, Charlie's right in front of me on his stool, and Bobby Bowden walks in, and you can hear, you can already hear the crowd out there, chanting and all this stuff. And Bobby Bowden walks in before that game and gives a pregame talk, and it was at that very moment, I can remember like it was yesterday, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I hadn't even been a player yet, I knew I wanted to do that, but I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a coach. And and I give Coach Bobby Bowden a lot of credit because he was one of the few college coaches at that time that allowed the coaches' families and kids to have full access. We kind of get spoiled here with Coach Sweeney doing that for all of our coaches' children, but the experience that I had for about 9-10 years there at Florida State, growing up in the locker room, being on the sidelines, the Wednesday night family meals. I can remember, when Charlie Ward was there, every Wednesday night we had a family meal. After the meal, he'd come over to my table and get me and my brother and take us down to the gym, and we'd shoot baskets with him every Wednesday night, and I'm like 10 or 11 years old, so just those memories, growing up around that, going to bowl games every year, that was a big part of why I knew that I wanted to go into coaching. And it's been fun watching Coach Sweeney here at Clemson now, because he reminds me a lot of a young Bobby Bowden, and just the way that he runs the program and the way he allows the families to be involved. I think another thing, you look at the coaching continuity that Coach Sweeney's had here is very similar to the rare continuity that Coach Bowden had when my dad was at Florida State for all those years. So definitely. And then I guess the other memory that I have, I don't know what year this was, but we actually got called up to Coach Bowden's office on a Wednesday night because the previous Saturday we played Tulane, and I believe by halftime it was like 49-0. And so myself and a few of the other coaches' kids decided that it'd be fun to go over to the other sideline, since it was such a boring game, and tackle the Green Wave mascot. So we went to the other sideline and snuck over there and started tackling the Green Wave mascot, and all the fans started cheering. The more cheering they did, the more wrestling we did with their mascot. And that next Wednesday night, we got called up to Coach Bowden's office, and he had a talk with all the coaches' kids about proper sideline etiquette. That was another fun.
How did the mascot take it?
Yeah, he took it pretty good. Whoever it was, he or she, I'm not sure. They took it pretty good.
Jeff, two things. Was your shooting in the gym with Charlie Ward what convinced him to go NBA instead of NFL?
No, but the other interesting thing, Sam Cassell was there also. So
Wow.
Sam didn't play football; he played basketball. But it was him and Charlie Ward and myself and my brother.
No Bob Sura.
No, that was it. But that was pretty cool. So to me, it's really cool, for us, whether it's Wednesday night or just another time when our families are here, and I'm seeing like Christian Wilkins out here playing basketball with, some of the other coaches' kids now. It just brings back awesome memories.
Are there other similarities you see between Bobby Bowden and Dabo as far as the way they, just go about their business, their coaching style? It seems like both are great storytellers, really good with the media, that type of thing.
Yeah, there are. I think Coach Bowden really was very genuine, and he was himself, and that's what everybody loved about him. I think it's Coach Sweeney is very genuine. What you see is what you get. And then also I think Coach Bowden, what I remember about him is he always took time to speak to people. It didn't matter if you're walking through, I can remember walking through the airport and the security person says something to Coach Bowden, he would literally stop and walk over there and talk to him for a minute, as we were getting ready to go get on a plane or something. And Coach Sweeney's the exact same way. He doesn't walk past anybody without speaking, and just having a genuine interest in other people and making their day better. And then also I just felt like the players at Florida State, they loved Coach Bowden, because of who he was, the type of man that he was, the type of example that he was. And part of me wanting to be a coach was not just the excitement of being around all those glory days of football, but it was watching the impact that Coach Bowden and my dad and the other coaches had on their players at the time. And even being a young kid, I could see that, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And I wanted to, one day be able to have an impact like that. And so for me, a very special moment, because I don't get a chance to see Coach Bowden a whole lot. Now, obviously, I'm busy, and he's retired and traveling, but just pretty awesome that the day before the national championship a couple years ago down in Tampa, Deshaun Watson was awarded the FCA Bobby Bowden award, and so we got to go the day before the national championship, go to the church where they were giving away the award in Tampa, and Bobby Bowden spoke the day before. So that was pretty awesome. For me now, being an adult, someone I looked up to for all those years, and haven't really been able to sit down and hear him speak anything like that in a long time. In the day before one of our biggest moments, that was just kind of one of those God winks for me. It's going to be a pretty special weekend.
In terms of Trevor, 3 starts in, do you see the game slowing down for him? Did it need to slow down for him?
I thought he was, not that he was a guy that was super jittery in the first 2 starts, but I felt, we said that after the game and really talking yesterday, that he was much more comfortable from the very beginning all the way through. I think in the Syracuse game, he kind of, missed one of the signals there on the second play where we had the fumble, and then, Wake Forest, we didn't get off to the start we wanted, but I felt like he was the most comfortable, and just really the game within the game, his body demeanor, the way that he was looking over the defense and kind of, controlling the snap count. And it just felt like he had full control over what he wanted to do. We had obviously a lot of run pass tags where he had to make some decisions, and he was, in the 90th percentile in his decision making on where the ball should go. And then, it's just a thing of beauty watching him make. I can't stop counting how many, throws he made from one hash to the other, and just NFL throws left and right there on the money. And that makes us better offensively when defenses know they truly have to defend the entire field at any time. And I think that's going to pay dividends for us down the road.
Jeff, Tony was saying that since you guys took over, really the goal has been to be able to, if somebody takes passing away, be able to beat them running, and vice versa. How would you compare this year's team's ability to do that?
Yeah, I think we're kind of in the process of getting there, and we're in no way, shape, or form a finished product. I think that's the exciting part. If we were kind of peaking where I felt like we're at our best right now, that'd be one thing, but there's a lot of things I think that we can do better. We still had 4 or 5 missed throws. I think we had 6 drops between the wideouts and tight ends, and a few other things that we could do a little bit better. But there's no doubt that we have that potential to do it through the air or on the ground. And the biggest thing offensively is just to kind of figure out, how they're going to play us. And some people mix it up throughout a game. Some people are really good at what they do, and they're pretty stubborn, and they're just going to do it the whole game. And that's kind of, what we got into with NC State. They were going to play that way the whole game. It didn't matter what was going on. So that's why we continue to throw the ball like we did. And then playing other weeks where we were running the ball really well. And then I think also is, our team, it doesn't matter to, Travis or T or the quarterback, whether it's a running or passing. Obviously you'd love to have balance in every game, and when you play defenses that really kind of mix it up, then you do get that balance because of what they do. But occasionally you'll play teams where, they want to consistently not let you run the ball with the box count and all that, and you gotta have the guys, number one, protection, and then also the quarterbacks and receivers that can do it. One other thing I did want to point out, I didn't mention, is I felt like our offensive line did a really good job in protection. We had 48 passing attempts, which was a lot. They were challenged this week in their protection, and obviously we knew, that they were going to bring a lot of pressure, trying to get to our quarterback. And we had 2 sacks, and 0 of the 2 sacks were on the OL. One was on running back, and one was on the quarterback for not flipping the protection. So for 48 attempts and them not being responsible for a sack, I think was a really good sign for us moving forward. But yes, I mean, that's where we want to be. I think when we've been our best offensively, you know, we've been able to run it, throw it when we want to, and then run it, throw it when we have to. I feel like we're moving in that direction right now.
Jeff, last week's game, big game, obviously a lot of attention. You guys may not play another ranked opponent the rest of the year, depending on how things shake out until the postseason. Do you guys worry about style points, keeping Clemson fresh in front of a playoff committee who's kind of watching everything around the country, or are you guys accustomed to how to deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't worry about that at all. I mean, I think now Clemson is one of those teams that if we take care of business, we're going to be where we want to be at the end of the year. And I mean, I think you got a great example, obviously, this past week with Ohio State, Purdue. You know, Purdue got off to a slow start, and Ohio State walked in there, and Purdue gave them everything that they wanted. And so, not that we're going to really need that this week when you're playing Florida State, because Florida State's Florida State. But I think it's a good reminder, you know, for everyone that in college football there's, you know, a lot of parity, and you know, it's only you go out and don't play well. And we've had games, obviously, the last 2 years. We've had games where unranked teams have beaten us. This past year, obviously, with Syracuse having to come back. But I mean, I think we're very comfortable and confident that if we continue to play well, that we're going to be where we want to be at the end of the year. And we're not there yet. You know, we didn't win the division with that win. We put ourselves in the driver's seat, but we've, you know, when you got that bullseye on your back and you know you're going to get everybody's best shot, you know, it requires you playing well. But I think one of the things that Coach Sweeney has done a great job of since he's taken over as the head coach is really getting our players to truly buy into playing to a standard. And maybe it sounds like coaches talk some places, but really that's how our guys are. I mean, it's a standard that we're playing to, and I think that's probably one of the biggest changes in our program is our consistency that we've had through the years. You're not playing up or down to an opponent, really trying to play consistent every week, and that's with the teams that are there in the end. You know, they didn't get there because they had a great big win. They got there because they played consistently over a long period of time, and I think we have a pretty mature team that has bought into that, and I haven't seen anything. You know, our guys, I mean, I think it's a great place to be where you just wake up and you go, oh, okay, we're number 2 this week. All right, cool. I mean, you know, there were other years where it was like the biggest thing ever back in the day, and now it's just like you really just peek at it and move on because you know it doesn't mean a whole lot this time of year.
What's the bit with the pass protection combined? What's been the biggest factor in their improvement?
Well, you know, and part of it I think is Trevor. Trevor did a really good job of flipping protections and changing based off of different looks. I think that was one thing that we were a little bit concerned with NC State. They did a great job on third down defense of giving some exotic pressures and different looks, and if you didn't have the line pointed in the right direction, they obviously got us that one time. That was the one sack that I was talking about where he didn't quite flip it the right way, but he flipped it about 8 times and got them coordinated the right way. And then I think also as guys being on the same page, defenses are doing a great job of not, I mean, the days of just 4 guys rushing up the field, you know, we welcome that. You know, now there's a lot of twisting and movement and games where guys are having to do really a 3-way bump where you got 3 linemen that are always having to go from my guy to passing him off to somebody else to taking your guy who passed it off to me to taking your guy. And to do that, everybody has to be on the same page pre-snap to make the calls, and then everybody has to physically be able to do it to get the ball off for the quarterback. And so I think communication up front, and I think Trevor kind of taking charge and moving the back and being loud and getting everybody on the same page. But you know, I think for the most part, our OL have done a good job. Obviously, you know, he's gotten hit a couple times, but when you throw it as much as we did this past Saturday, that's going to happen. But I've been pleased with the way we protected our quarterback so far.
Jeff, it's a given that Florida State roster is plug and play. What have you seen differently from the new coaching staff, defensive-wise, scheme-wise?
Yeah, they are different schematically. The last 2 weeks they've been a little bit different than they were maybe at the beginning of the season. They do a lot of things right now, and that makes it difficult, kind of like preparing for our defense. It's very difficult just to watch. You're not going to see a lot of tendencies. Florida State has done a lot of different things. They've played multiple fronts, brought multiple blitzes, play a lot of different coverages. But overall, what you see is that they're a physical group. They're going to challenge you at the line of scrimmage. I think these are the two most athletic corners that we will have played this year that can really run, got great feet. You don't see many guys running by them. So you got to be great technicians and have a lot of different type of route combinations for them. And then I just think up front, 99 just makes them different, makes them special. And you have to spend a lot of part of your game plan trying to find ways to get an extra hat on him because he can make you look silly in a hurry. But I think overall, their defensive coordinator coming from Michigan State, which is off the same family tree of Pitt. So if you remember Pitt, when we played them here in the past, they really challenge you, have a lot of extra guys around the run. I mean, that's one reason they're, number one in the ACC, number 8 overall in rush defense. You're going to have a lot of guys around the box, and I think the biggest difference is, they got the guys on the edge that can create some issues in the pass defense as well, because they're very athletic.
When you were talking about Trevor flipping protections and things like that, is that what makes him a little different than most freshmen, that he can recognize stuff and do that than some other freshmen can?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as coaches, how much you ask your quarterback to do, a freshman quarterback to do, is really how much that they can carry. Deshaun was that way, that as it went his freshman year, we could start allowing him to change the protection and change some things at the line. And Trevor, does a great job of that. He's very smart. Coach Streeter does a great job with him in the film room, him and Chase. It's great to watch him and Chase in the film room, and then also on the practice field and on the sidelines. I mean, they're having some high-level talks over there, which is awesome as a coach to see that. But yeah, Trevor's very special in a lot of ways, but mentally, it's been fun watching his progress over the last 4 weeks.
Coach, I was going to ask you about the one sack, not the one where Travis whiffed on the block, but is Trevor's internal clock about where it needs to be, or is that maybe one area that he needs to improve on a little bit?
Yeah, he's done a good job. I think one area we challenged him that if they do drop 8 to take off and run, and that's what he did on the 1 3rd down where he slid a yard short. That was a good, that was really kind of what we were coaching him up to do, and they were playing 2-man, so they had a lot of guys dedicated running with the wideouts and only rushing 3, so we wanted to take off and run. The particular sack that you're talking about is one of them where he kind of got fooled, and so we were hot, we were 1 short, and would have liked to leave the protection on the other side, but that's easy to happen. I mean, it was not real clear, and they had a lot of guys. Anytime you have 7 or 8 guys just walking around the line of scrimmage, they can fool you every once in a while, and that's one that he'll learn from. And in that situation, he just needed to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker and know that he was hot.
Jeff, what does Trevion's his veteran presence mean to the room? And also, when he has a game like he had with the multiple catches for about 50 yards, does it mean a little bit more to you as a coach from a veteran guy like that doesn't get the publicity of the other guys?
Yeah, I was very happy for him. And somebody asked me after the game if maybe he's been doing better in practice. And no, he's been doing really well in practice all year long, really since the spring. It's just he finally got some opportunity. Sometimes we as coaches, you like to get some guys some opportunities about how the defense plays a certain play. The ball may go somewhere else. So sometimes the ball finds you and sometimes it doesn't. So big thing that Trevion knows, that we encourage all those guys that may not be getting as much balls as they want throughout certain games, is just continue to work hard, and the ball is going to find you at some point. When it does, be ready. And that's what I can say about Trevion. He was ready, and it was great to see him make some big time plays. He has several explosive catches there, and he's a guy that we're going to continue to count on as the year goes on. He's probably the one guy in my entire room that knows and has played all three positions, and you know, now with us trying to redshirt Cornell, and you know, anytime we have an injury, you know, guy gets banged up, you know, really he went into this game knowing, you know, every play at all three wide receiver positions. Fortunately, we didn't have to use him to some of the other ones, but I think that's another benefit that he brings to us. But he's, you know, every scout that comes through here, I'd be sure to talk about Trevion, because he reminds me a lot of Jerron Brown. I think if he gets with the right squad, he's going to be able to play for several years at the next level.
Coach, the Texans just won their 4th straight game. Deshaun Watson's playing with a partially collapsing lung. They're having so much success. Also, Nuke Hopkins, the two of them syncing up. How much pride do you take in the two of them having so much success right now?
Yeah, it's awesome. What's really cool for me is, you know, I've been here, you know, that I kind of think about the last 10 years. There's kind of really been 3 groups offensively. You kind of go back to the Taj, Nuke, and Sammy. As far as passing, maybe, and obviously that's kind of where I've spent a lot of my time. And then you think about the Deshaun and Mike Williams, Artavis, all those guys, and then, you know, now this group that we have going on now. So I think what's really cool is it kind of bridges with Nuke, who really never played with Deshaun. You know, those two guys kind of bridging together and getting to play at the next level, I think is really cool. You know, I'll never forget draft night. I was there in Philadelphia, I believe, whenever Deshaun got drafted, and immediately within 5 minutes, Nuke called me, and he's like, "All right, tell me about him. What's his strengths? What's his weaknesses? What does he need to work on? You know, we're going to work tomorrow." You know, and I thought that was really cool. So, yes, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's no doubt we were watching the Texans, and you know, the open week was the only Sunday that I got to sit home and watch games. So it took me like 20 minutes to call DirecTV to get the Sunday ticket just for a day. And they kept asking me who my favorite team was, and I was trying to explain to them I don't have a favorite team. I got a lot of guys that I want to watch, and they ended up telling me that it was cheaper to buy it for a month. It was $2 cheaper to buy a Sunday ticket for a month. So I guess my wife can watch it for the next 4 weeks. But the fun thing for me, especially with all these skill guys, is there's a lot of games going back and forth through, and watching these guys. And it was awesome to watch Mike Williams playing in London, getting a touchdown out there, and just, you know, really, really neat to see those guys do well at the next level. And I know it encourages our guys here, because they know that, you know, they're going to have those opportunities if they continue to work.